Hi ladies, Ali here from Clear Skin and Wellbeing. So today I thought I would talk about the best essential oils to use on the skin, which includes the face and the body. But before I do, if you haven't subscribed before, please subscribe and also please like. Right, so essential oils are extremely effective, but they are also can be extremely dangerous. You have to be very, very careful on what essential oils you can use, and also if you have any underlying health issues. So for instance, if you have epilepsy or high blood pressure or you're pregnant, that sort of thing, you have to be extremely careful. And personally, I wouldn't use essential oils flat out, if you like, with that by mixing them myself. Always seek professional advice. Now, they do have their place. Many skin brands don't like essential oils. They have a great scent, but they can be unstable. All you need is one compound within the essential oil to aggravate your face, and you don't want to end up with irritation. But there are ones which are safer than others, and there are brands in which you can buy essential oils within the skincare. You can make ones up yourself, which I will show you, but you have to be extremely careful with them. Now, essential oils are usually done in two ways. They're either cold pressed or by steam. Majority tends to be from the steam method. So yeah, a lot of them they range in prices, some are more cheaper than others. Lavender is a very good one and tends to be a lot cheaper than, say, something like, on the other scale would be something like rose otto, which is so expensive because it takes a lot of petals to put in one tiny little bottle. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to recommend 3 or 4 different essential oils I would recommend and how I would use them and ways in which we can incorporate it. And at the end, I also want to show you a couple of ways in which we can use them within our well-being as well by diffusing. So first of all, if you've got something like oily skin, if you've got prone to acne, again, you've got to be very careful. Tea tree can be quite good because it is anti-inflammatory, antibacterial. You never ever want, and this is really important, to put any essential oils straight onto the skin because you will irritate it, you could possibly burn your skin. They're very, very strong. So I would never ever recommend putting them straight on your skin. I would also never recommend mixing them with water because they have to be in something fat soluble, which I'll go on to a little bit later. So yes, tea tree is great for that. Another thing I would recommend is if you say you've got a cold and you just want to put your head over a bowl of water and then use a towel. Again, something like tea tree and eucalyptus, because it's antibacterial, gets into the sinuses and can actually help clear those blocked nose and stuffiness, can actually help as well. Now that's a good one. Another thing is something like lavender. Now lavender is brilliant. It's probably one of the softest ones, if you like, less irritation. And many skin companies do use lavender. Again, a lot of skin companies keep away from essential oils and tend to use synthetic ingredients, whereas essential oils, it's still chemicals, but it's natural, but a lot more complex, if you like. So with lavender, again, it's probably the only one I probably would, if you could, put on the skin, but you don't want to be smarming loads of oil onto your skin because that is just a recipe for disaster. I would, for instance, if I had a headache, I'd probably put a tiny drop of lavender oil just on my finger and I would just rub it here just to sort of help alleviate it. But majority of the time, most of the time, I would always use a carrier base. Now, other things, as I say, we've got lavender, we've got tea tree. Another one to use is, again, rose oil. Now, I love rose oil. Now, rosehip oil I use every day on my face, mainly in the evening to lock in after the retinol and after any serum. I would lock it into my face using rosehip oil. Rich in vitamin A and again anti-inflammatory, and it's just very soothing, and most people can use rosehip oil. Another thing rosehip oil is good for, again, is, it really helps with dry skin. It helps with the fine lines and wrinkles, also because it contains, as you say, vitamin A, a little bit like retinol for the skin, which is natural. Now, rose oil, there are a few rose oils out there, and as I say, Rose Otto is one of the most expensive, but there are cheaper variations, like a Rose Absolute, which tends to be half the price. Now, if you had the Rose the Rose Absolute and the Rose Otto, when you just smell one and then that's it, oh, it all smells the same, it's all rosy. But actually, if you had the both and you smelt both of them, that's when you're comparing and you know why you're paying more money. Now, what you could do, as I say, is buy the Rose Otto oil, and it would last quite a while, depending on how much you use, and within a carrier. Another way is by using them in diffusers. Now, what I tend to use, I'm just going to show you here. Now, sometimes if I use, you can use different bases for oils, and here we have an almond base sweet oil. So if you're massaging the skin for your body, that's a great one. So you would add, this is in, I buy them in huge big amounts. So you just add a bit of almond oil, but you could also use perhaps coconut oil, and but make sure it's, you don't want it too hard, and let the coconut oil be, more of a consistency like this rather than hard, more of a liquid consistency, and just add 1 or 2 drops of lavender oil, for instance, and then you can just apply it to the skin, and that's really quite soothing and lovely. And again, it's calming as well, the scent, that's why most pillow sprays tend to have oil, lavender in them. Another thing you can do, and again, I buy this from a company, and this is just a base, it's just a base cream, and there are lots of companies where you can buy just base creams, and I would add just a few drops of my essential oils in there, be it lavender or be it rose. Now and again, I would use it for eucalyptus if I'm feeling a bit coldy and I just want to put something round my nose, not too close because it can sting and aggravate, or perhaps just on my temples. That can help as well. Now, when you do buy an essential oil, it's really important not to buy them in containers or glass bottles rather than plastic, because you don't want any air, you don't want any oxidization, you don't want any light getting into it, and they should always have a dropper bottle as well, so once you open it's not going to go straight in and go off. And they do have a sell-by date. Always check the sell-by date, and don't use anything which is out of date, because then the chemical actually changes and it actually could aggravate the skin. Now, you would always want something like this, a bottle which is either brown, I've got one here which is blue, and another one here which is green. You want them in dark colour bottles. Now, I do have, for instance, a bottle here which is, one is plastic, no good, and another thing, it's clear, no good. But I do use quite a lot amount of essential oils, so I do tend to, they come and go very quickly, they don't hang around. Now, this essential oil is another one which is called, it's frankincense. Highly recommend frankincense. It's, again, anti-aging, anti-inflammatory. Again, it's a really good one. So if you buy, there are plenty of brands out there which do have essential oils in. One of them, and I'm always going on about them, is Neal's Yard, but they're focused around essential oils. But although you might have aggravated skin, they only add a certain amount, and they do a really lovely frankincense cleanser and an anti-aging intense one, which is a cream. Highly recommend. So frankincense, again, it's frankincense, lavender, rose and tea tree are probably the 4 you probably are the best base ones. Now, I do have a lot of essential oils, but I thought I'd just show you those. Now, the other thing, if you're having, say, a bath and you want, essential oils on your, because whatever you're going to put in is going to penetrate and go into your body, go through your skin, if you're having a bath, for instance, you don't want to get your essential oils and start doing a few drops in there, because that is going to sit on the surface of the water. It has to be fat soluble. So as I say, if you've got something like that, if you put it onto the surface of the water, give a few little drops, it's going to lay on the surface of the water, you're going to go into that water, and it's going to hit your skin directly without any sort of secondary element, if you like. So I really would not recommend doing that. As I say, never just put them in water. What I would recommend, and there are two ways, is one, I put, again, I've shown this before, I get a load of salts. You can use Himalayan salt, all sorts, and I tend to, because it's full of magnesium as well, I put just a few drops of my essential oils in amongst here, and then I put this then into the bath, and that is perfect, because then it's going to disperse and it doesn't sit on the top. Another thing you can do, when I've just got it here, is to put a couple of essential oils in a small amount of milk. If you use full fat milk, it's even better because it's more fatty, where if it's semi-skimmed, obviously more water, and if it's really skimmed, it's not so good. But the fattier the better. So if you add a few drops into your milk and then put it into the bath, almost like a Cleopatra kind of thing with her milky baths. So a few essential oils within the milk, then put it into the bath, and that will disperse and it won't sit on the top, and it will blend in through with the water. And that's a really good way to use it within a bath. Now, I know we were talking about skincare and applying it onto the skin, and again, as I say, there are many companies which use skincare and use essential oils. A lot don't. Just be very careful. Some are better than others. Highly recommend Neal's Yard. Tropic's another one. They're very good. Again, they're all very natural, good ethos companies. Now, just one before I finish, I just want to also mention, again with the well-being part, in using essential oils in candles and diffusers. Now, I know it's a very trendy thing at the moment, and one thing which doesn't suit me, and I just want to show you, so I want to show you the comparisons, are these diffusers, which, I mean, it looks like a spaceship. Now, it's great, it's bamboo, and you put, again, water in there and then the diffuser, a few drops of your essential oils, and of course the essential oil sits on top of the water, and you plug it in and it all comes out and it all wafts around, which is great. But if you're like me, if you're asthmatic, it's probably not the best way to have a nice scented room. Also, if you live in an old house like I do, which tends to get quite damp, you're adding more dampness into the air. So if you're asthmatic or you've got a damp house, there are better options than using an expensive diffuser, for instance, although they're very effective. But the other way I prefer to use would be to use one of these. Now, again, these are a lot cheaper as well. Just something where you've just put 2 or 3 drops of your essential oil just in there, and then you would put a small candle in there, and it just diffuses nicely. You get the lovely scent without the dampness, and for me that works better. Now, sometimes I make my own candles, and I always use, if I'm making my own candles, I use soya, as it's better for the environment, and also it doesn't go so black, because if you're lighting a candle every day, and you've got your lovely essential oils, or any candle, it's great, but it does tend to blacken the ceilings or any furniture around. Whereas if you make your own, or if you use ones with soya, so I might make my own soya candle, and then I add a few drops of essential oils of whatever scent I want, and that is perfect. And then I would place it in here, and then you can add a few bits in there, and you can get your scent that way. So that's another good one to do. So I think I'm kind of covered there. I think it's such a large topic, and I could talk for hours on essential oils and all the different various essential oils. Before I finish, I just want to impress on you one more thing, and I can't recommend this enough, and this is called Woman's Balance. Now, it contains rose geranium, I think it's got frankincense, all sorts of lovelies in there, and it's the most beautiful, beautiful scent. I would highly recommend. That I love. And again, a couple of drops in here. I wouldn't actually put it on my skin, but just as a scent, I would put that on just for a really lovely scent, and that is great. Another thing is, very quickly, diffusers, reed diffusers. Again, if you can get natural organic reed diffusers, again, you can have them perhaps by your bedroom, something if you don't sleep in the evening, something like a lavender, an organic lavender diffuser, which isn't going to throw out too much scent, but just enough to help de-stress and aid sleep. Highly recommend. So yeah, so there we are. So just recapping again, the 4 I would recommend would be anything with lavender in, tea tree if you do slightly more oily or if you're prone to spots, but again, do not put directly onto the skin. Also anything rose otto I love, and also, you know, if you can't afford rose otto, rose absolute, or even further down the line, geranium rose, which a lot of companies use instead of rose because it's a lot cheaper equivalent, and you still get that beautiful scent. And then you've also got frankincense. What else have I got? Lavender, frankincense, rose, tea tree, eucalyptus, those kind of things. Eucalyptus, same sort of vein as tea tree. So there we are, the real basics of essential oils, but on this also, you know, with the well-being, but also in skincare. But as I say, just very quickly, never put essential oils straight onto your face. If you have any underlying issues, be very, very careful, seek medical advice, because these are very strong chemicals, and you know, they only have to have one part of a compound within that essential oil which may aggravate, or you might have a reaction to, and you don't want anything like that. So there we are. I hope you enjoyed this video today on the best skincare oils, essential oils for you. And again, if you haven't subscribed before, please subscribe, and also please like, and I will see you in the next one. Okay, bye.